Juan Carlos Onganía Carballo was de facto President of Argentina from the 29th of June 1966 to the 8th of June 1970. He rose to power as military dictator after toppling the president Arturo Illia in a coup d'état self-named Revolución Argentina. Economic and social policies, while preceding military coups in Argentina were aimed at establishing temporary, transitional juntas. The Revolución Argentina headed by Onganía aimed at establishing a new political and social order, opposed both to liberal democracy and to communism, which gave to the armed forces of Argentina a leading role in the political and economic operation of the country. The political scientist Guillermo O'Donnell named this type of regime authoritarian bureaucratic state, in reference both to the Revolución Argentina, the Brazilian military regime, Augusto Pinochet's regime, and Juan María Bordaberry's regime in Uruguay. While chief of the army in 1963, Onganía helped crush the 1963 Argentine Navy revolt by mobilizing troops that seized rebelling Navy bases. However, he demonstrated a disregard for civil authority when he initially refused to call off his troops after a ceasefire agreement had been approved by President José María Guido and his cabinet, and was only convinced to follow orders after a tense meeting. As military dictator, Onganía suspended political parties and supported a policy of participationismo, by which representatives of various interest groups such as industry, labor, and agriculture would form committees to advise the government. However, these committees were largely appointed by the dictator himself. Onganía also suspended the right to strike and supported a corporatist economic and social policy, enforced particularly in Córdoba by the appointed governor, Carlos Caballero. Onganía's Minister of Economy, Adalbert Krieger-Vecina, decreed a wage freeze and a 40% devaluation, which adversely impacted the state of the Argentine economy, favoring foreign capital. Krieger-Vecina suspended collective labor conventions, reformed the fossil fuels law which had established a partial monopoly of the Yacimientos Petrolíferos Fiscales state enterprise, and also signed a law facilitating the expulsion of tenants in cases of non-payment of rent. Cultural and education policy. Onganía's rules signified an end to university autonomy, which had been achieved by the university reform of 1918. Barely a month into his administration, he was responsible for the violation of university autonomy in the so-called La Noche de los Bastones Largos, in which he ordered police to invade the Faculty of Sciences of the University of Buenos Aires. Students and professors were beaten up and arrested. Many were later forced to leave the country, beginning a brain drain that adversely affects Argentine academia to this day. Onganía also ordered repression on all forms of immoralism, prescribing mini-skirts, long hair for boys, and all avant-garde artistic movements. This moral campaign favorized the radicalization of the middle classes, who were very overrepresented in universities. In 1969, Onganía dedicated the country to the Immaculate Heart of Mary. Protests. Eventually, this position was opposed by the other factions in the military, which felt that its influence in government would be diminished. At the end of May 1968, General Julio Alzogray dissented from Onganía, and rumors spread about a possible coup d'état. Alzogray leading the conservative opposition to Onganía. Finally, at the end of the month, Onganía dismissed the leaders of the armed forces. Alejandro Lainez replaced Julio Alzogari, Pedro Navi replaced Benigno Varela, and Jorge Martinez Zuviria replaced Adolfo Alvarez. Also, Onganía's ruthless government was weakened by a popular uprising of workers and students that took place in the whole of the country, in particular in the interior, in cities such as Córdoba in 1969 or Rosario. In May 1970, a second Cordobazo happened, nicknamed El Viborazo. The dominant military faction, led by General Lainez, demanded that Onganía resign. When he refused, he was toppled by a military junta.